Check, check.
All right. I will call this meeting to order. Everyone, public, I apologize for the late start. We had some technical difficulties, but we are here and rolling. I'll turn it over to you, Corey.
Excellent. Thank you, President Jackson. We appreciate it. We have got quite a presentation for you today. And the goal for all of you is to hear from our operational directors. So we have Brian and we have Jen and we have Stephanie in the house. They're going to introduce themselves in a little bit deeper context. Each one will share a little bit about their celebrations and a little bit about some of the challenges in the areas where they oversee and where they lead. Each one of these individuals lead by example, set high expectations, navigate daily and long-term challenges. They build positivity through teamwork and collaboration. And I'm just thrilled that they're here and we all get to hear from them. What I hear from their staff are things like, I will follow Brian, Jen, Stephanie, wherever they lead me. Our team feels so supported. The culture of our team is so much better since their leadership. We are headed in the right direction. They take on so much. You need to be aware of that, Superintendent Kalahar. They are here for me when I need them. They are the first in the door and they are the last to leave. So I just want to celebrate the three of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your leadership. It is foundational for the Wenatchee School District and our students. So we appreciate you being here. And so anyway, just thank you. And I'll turn it over to, I think Brian's kicking us off. And once that slide deck is up and running. And Liz, thank you for saving the day. That's all I have to say right there. Thank you so much for saving the day. We appreciate you.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brian Brocky. I am the Director of Maintenance and Operations here for Wenatchee School District. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to come before you guys. Each and every day, I'm so grateful for the position that I have for the school district, for the simple fact that I work with such an amazing group of people. This presentation is literally about them. And we're super fortunate to have every single person that we have in our department working for us. So a little bit about me. So I've lived here most of my life. I graduated from Eastmont in 91. This is my family. This is my wife, Jennifer. And then my two sons, Caleb is my oldest, and then Tyler's my youngest. Originally from Spokane, and I moved here like 1987. Have lived here pretty much ever since. My wife's lived here her entire life, and my kids on my wife's side of the family are fifth generation Wenatchee graduates, which is kind of cool. You know, I moved around so much that kind of blows my mind. So I didn't go to college. I kind of got to where I am in life through just hard work and dedication wherever I worked. So I always say I got a PhD at the School of Hard Knocks. My work history here is I did a lot of blue collar jobs around the valley. Worked at FedEx for several years as a delivery person for them doing P&D. Did several different routes, even worked as far as like up in Omak, Okanagan area. And then I got a job at Alcoa, and I worked at Alcoa until it shut down. So I was at Alcoa for about 5 years. Like everybody else, I started out as a carbon setter and kind of worked my way up into a pot room supervisor position. And that's kind of where I developed a lot of my leadership skills. I believe that a lot of the positions that I had taken things from supervisors I had or people that I worked with that kind of weren't like the best examples of employees, and took all that and basically put it into one ball of wax and it became the supervisor that I am today. So it, a lot of trial and error. When I came to the Wenatchee School District, other than management of people, I really didn't have the skill set that I had, at least I felt, to do the position they hired me for. I first got hired in as the Assistant Director of Maintenance and Operations, which I started out overseeing the custodial staff and developed a really great relationship with them. Was able to, with the help of others, start creating that culture that our department needed. And we'll kind of go into a little bit more about that culture and the other phases of our department that make up that. But you know, when I first came here, it was a different work environment, and it was an environment that I'd never worked like this before, but it's been very rewarding. I've got to know some really great people, and I think in a lot of places, those are like, for me, I don't miss the work at Alcoa, I miss the people. And that's one of the things that kind of makes up our department, or the people. So as people phase out and retire, you miss those relationships. There's actually a few people that we keep in contact that have retired, and it's pretty neat. So I did the assistant director position for 6 years, like I stated, and then I've been in the director's position, took over almost 3 years ago. And that in itself's been a journey, for the simple fact that I didn't really have a lot of the skill set that the job required. I kind of acquired that. So I've in a lot of places, I've had a lot of the on-the-job training. And for me, it's also allowed me to connect with the folks that I get to work with every day, as they're the experts. And so I get the opportunity to just pick their brain. And that's also kind of played into my managerial style of, you know, I don't like to micromanage people. I like to empower people. And then, and again, it's something that we'll kind of get into a little bit later on. But yeah, that's my awesome family. So I feel very blessed to have them. So who are we? You know, who is maintenance and operations? You know, we have an office staff, we have trades, we have grounds, and then we have warehouse, and then we have custodial. That's kind of what makes up our department. We do, so we provide customer service to a combined number of 14 schools and campuses and support buildings throughout the district. We also maintain 4 undeveloped properties. Our guys do everything from repair work to creating new inviting spaces inside and out of our buildings. Grounds guys obviously take care of our grounds, but they also do snow removal, which is parking lots, bus lanes, and then the adjoining city sidewalks to our properties. And then we have a shipping and receiving staff that does a great job of, once stuff is delivered to the warehouse, they do a great job of turning around and getting it out to the different buildings across the district. We have 2 support staff members, and for me, they're like my right-hand people. You know, they're my lifesavers. They really help me out. They take a lot of the load that I have off of my plate, and they do everything they can to make my life easy. And I appreciate both of them so much. Our trade staff consists of 2 carpenters, 2 painters, and 2 HVAC techs, a plumber, a locksmith, and then an occupational support position. And those guys literally can do anything. You know, it goes back to the amazingness of them. You know, we've created some pretty cool spaces across the district. We've made spaces that weren't even functioning. We've taken classrooms and turned them into science rooms, where we've added like cabinets and countertops and sinks. You know, we've renovated the bathrooms at the high school that allowed the 50 years of use to go away, and bring it in and kind of modernize them. And it's pretty awesome to see the things that they're willing to take on. And a lot of the times it's without even blinking. They just, hey, this is what needs to get done, and they just go and do it. We have a ground staff that takes care of all of those properties. We have a grounds foreman, and then 5 groundsmen that work underneath him. We have a warehouse manager and delivery, and then we also have 37 custodians when fully staffed. So our custodial staff clean a total of over 1.2 million square feet of usable building each and every day. Our grounds department maintains 108 acres of grass during the mowing seasons, and then 139 undeveloped land across the district as needed. And that entails us mowing, picking up garbage, and spraying for noxious weeds. Our trade staff also maintains the same square amount of footage as our custodians at over 1.2 million. So how does this happen? With the help of a lot of people, we've completely changed the culture of our department. I think, Maria, you've had the most tenure of the board members with your prior position in the school district, and I would say that our reputation wasn't always the greatest. Like I said, with the help of a lot of people, we were able to change that culture, and through like retirements and making sure that we brought in the right people is how we did that. We also set expectations and then reinforced those expectations, and kind of boils down to like having conversations with folks. And I think a lot of things can get cleared up through just communication. And like this quote says, employees don't leave bad jobs, they leave because of bad leadership. And I think that that's very true. And, and some of the things that Corey kind of kicked our meeting off with, I think speaks to the type of leaders that we have here within the district. And I know in all three of our departments, we've worked extremely hard to change that culture, and it's a pretty awesome thing to be a part of. So, and we do that by empowering people. You give them the autonomy to do their jobs. I'm not, like I said earlier, I'm not here to micromanage people, but I'm here to be an advocate for them. And when they do come to me, to hear their voices and hear the things that they bring to the table, so that we can solve problems. And like Corey also said, we support our folks through the highs and lows, whether that's not only through work, but in like personal things that people come to us with. And I just think that that's just not only being a good leader, that's just being a good person. We also, you got to recognize people. I think the cool thing that I like hearing is, GEM awards are great, but I like getting emails from the public, and they recognize and they see the things that our guys are doing around the district. And it's a pretty cool thing to see. And I just wish more people would take their time when they notice those things, instead of bringing up something that they don't think we're doing, or why aren't we doing that, that they recognize that that all of our guys have tough jobs, and that those emails would come in a different light. So when we do get those, I make sure I pass those on, and the guys understand that people do recognize that, not just people that work in the district. And, and just make everybody feel appreciated. I think from just a human aspect, I think people deep down inside want to understand that what they're doing, regardless of what it is, that they are appreciated. And we try to do, I know as leaders, we try to do the best we can to make sure that happens. And then just feel included, just make them realize that they are a part of a vision, and they are a part of like the big picture, if you will. And they're not just a number. And, and again, it goes back to like building those relationships with people and having that understanding of more than just, hey, I'm the supervisor, you're the employee, but we're all here for the same cause. A typical day at M&O, there really isn't a typical day. Facilities can be fickle, and it doesn't matter what time of year it is. We have a lot, as we know, we have a lot of aging buildings, and some of the stuff that our guys are able to do, or they're absolutely magicians, especially with the high school. The high school needs a lot of love, and our guys spend a lot of time there trying to work through the problems and the solutions that we need to have people have a comfortable space to be in and work in. So no 2 days are ever the same, and again, this is a benefit and a challenge, and it gives us an opportunity to be better and do better. We do a lot of learning on the fly, even though we have guys that are very tenured in their positions. And again, I consider them experts. There still is a lot of things for us to learn, and that starts with me. And I appreciate their willingness to share their job knowledge with me, allows me to be better in my position and to better serve the district. The other thing is you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. There's a lot of that. And I'm not talking about like, is the AC working today or is it not? Or is our heating out? it's just the understanding that, you know, you have the group of folks that we have in our department, and they're not only serving the students and the teachers, are also serving the public. So, and you're not ever always going to make everybody happy, but we do the best that we can in order to do so. You know, in this, then we also embrace the opportunity to solve new problems or issues each and every day. And again, that goes back to no 2 days are ever the same. You know, you may have come in with an agenda thinking your day is going to be A, and it ends up being Z, and that's just what happens, and you just kind of have to deal with it. And our guys do an amazing job of adjusting on the fly. So, you know, and again, you know, I mean, not to brag, but our guys are really good at what they do. I mean, top to bottom. I wouldn't trade anybody that I have in my department for anybody. I get the opportunity to go to WMOA meetings, not just locally, but for the state. And I hear of some of the stuff that goes on in some of the other school districts. And I'm like, sorry to hear that, man, but that doesn't go on in our, you know, I mean, we got aging buildings, but as far as like the staff, it's like, no, none of that goes on. So again, our folks are very, very willing and very competent and very able to do what we ask them to do each and every day. Department goals, you know, I have two mottos that I live by, and I apply not only in my daily life, but my professional life as well. And that's how you do anything is how you do everything. And if you think about that for a second, it doesn't matter what it's doing, whether you're folding clothes or you're working on your car or you're mowing grass. It goes back to the attention to details, and the small details will take care of the big details eventually. And then to leave things better, and I found it. And that's kind of what I've done ever since I started supervising people. I even tried to do that at Alcoa, is just make sure that whatever area that we're in, that we leave our stamp on it and people understand that we've been there and that it's better than when we found it. And we'll continue to build on this, the work that we've started. You know, Corey and Sean and I and the facilities committee, you know, we've met a lot. We've had a lot of conversations about road mapping for future needs for facilities, replacement plans, forecasting department needs for staff and or equipment. And I truly believe that by doing so, that the separation is in the preparation. And again, it goes back to those attention to details. And that's the other amazing thing about our staff, is they want to do things the right way. They don't want to take shortcuts, you know, and it's awesome to be a part of, knowing that when they walk away from things, it's the small details that make things, taking a space that wasn't even designed for that in the original planning years ago and creating something different. It's pretty incredible to see. And our goal is just to make the district a better place, a safer space, and to improve the overall function and appearance of it. We will accomplish these goals by following the above mottos, and we will also act upon these goals, our goals, by continuously working to improve the culture of our department. And honestly, it's one of the things that I'm most proud of as far as like a professional, is changing the culture of our entire department. You know, from top to bottom, it's been pretty amazing to see. And I went back and looked at like a seniority list, and I want to say that I believe there's only like 8 employees in our entire department that I either didn't have that I had a hand in either hiring or outright hiring out of all those people that we listed before. And it's pretty cool, for the simple fact that, you know, in some ways you kind of feel like you're able to bring the right people in, and that's how you change that culture. You know, and another thing I always try to do is I try to start every meeting by telling them and reminding them that each and every day they positively impact someone in the district just because of what they do, the profession that they chose to do for the school district. They truly are difference makers. And I hope that people understand that, not just the ones sitting in this room, but the folks in this valley, that they, you know, none of us are perfect, but our guys have the best intentions. You know, we have a lot of challenges, and we'll kind of get into some of those in another couple slides. But, you know, and this is simply just our goal, is to just make our spaces better and to make our buildings and grounds and everything better. You you know, to make a difference each and every day. We just show up and perform, the guys perform their tasks, you know, and again, they're excellent at what they do. They're not perfect, but they're pretty good at what they do. We'll just continue to create a culture that provide a department of doers and one that people want to be a part of. And I think that that's, again, kind of going back to some of the remarks that Corey had at the beginning of our meeting. I firmly believe that it speaks to that. And I think that's something you can say for all the other support service departments as well. You know, and just to make our buildings and grounds so that they speak to and reflect the work ethic, the pride and craftsmanship that makes up our department. And again, we have a long way to go, but I know that each and every day we're heading towards these goals, and we're eventually we'll reach them. Not going to say that there won't ever be a day where we have everything is, you know, work's done, but things are better than where they have been in years past. And I will take that success every day of the week. So another way that we're able to do some of the amazing things that we do is just some of the celebrations that we have is, you know, we've been able to partner with some pretty awesome people and some organizations here in our region. You know, I think one of the things that I've loved to have been a part of was the softball field and getting it built. You know, I know that's something that's been looming out there for quite some time, and it's a pretty amazing facility when you look at it. It's pretty neat. And when you drive by there when the lights are on at night, that just kind of takes it to the next level. So it's pretty awesome. It's something for our district to be very proud of. House Bill 1257. Hopefully everybody's aware of what that is, and it's a compliance with the state that we're working towards. It's been a lot of effort put in by a lot of different people. Had a ton of meetings, and we've been able to partner with some pretty cool people to, again, roadmap where we need to be in compliance. And I'm fairly confident that we'll get there. You know, we're going to obviously need the support of the community in order to do some of that work. But as far as the work that's been done, I know that we're on the right track. WMOA, you know, joining WMOA has been amazing. I've been able to network and just talk to other people that work in my line of work and develop those relationships and bounce questions off them when I'm uncertain about certain things. And I've had people reach out to me. So it's been an awesome thing. And it's just another thing that's impacted our district very positively. Schlein PUD partnership that we have, those guys are amazing to work with. Schmidt Electric, it's another one that's been amazing to work with. You know, and then just our staff. You know, I truly believe that the folks that we have are the top of the top in what they do. You know, kind of like I said, I get to brag at WMOA meetings and other maintenance directors about how amazing our group is. And the other thing is, you know, a lot of this, we couldn't do all these things without the support of Sean and Corey and all the other members of our cabinet team. So I just want to personally say thank you so much for that support. You know, it literally allows our guys to do the things that they do, and our crew couldn't do the voodoo that we do without your guys' support. So, and then just all the great spaces that have been created or that have been changed. I think we've done a really good job of spreading that love across the district. I don't feel like we've just concentrated on one building, that we've tried to do things around the district as a whole, and even in other departments to help them out. And if anybody's been in, I mean, the most recent one is the bathrooms at the high school. If you've been in the old bathrooms versus the new bathrooms, it's pretty shocking to see the difference. And we got some other things planned out for the summer and then for next year as well, that we'll be creating some better spaces for those folks in those buildings. You know, and then, you know, like number 8, I think that again, if you take anything away from my slide presentation, is that we literally have the best employees. You know, and they can do anything, and I'm super thankful and grateful and blessed for the opportunity to work alongside them each and every day. So, challenges. I mean, facilities, it's like you wouldn't have any challenges without having facilities. And, it's kind of, I, it's one of those things where I'm not sure how everybody widespread, other than the folks that are sitting in this room, that know a lot of the things that we're up against. But, we do have, with budget issues, to be able to get into compliance with a lot of things that are required of us by the state. Whether that's the Clean Energy Act or water sampling, energy management, and just being able to meet some of the needs of our ADA students that we have, our special needs students. I've had quite a few conversations with Corey and some of the other building admin and department heads about how we're going to make some of our spaces work for some of the needs that our students have. And that in itself is a challenge, but I know that we're ready for that. It's just figuring out how we're going to do that and what kind of needs each one of those students need. Classroom models, again, ADA, we've done a lot of things for CTE around the district. We've done it for like the specialty stuff for like students and even just like staff members so that they can have their own space. We've taken classrooms and chopped them up and created an extra room within a room, just so that folks could have, private conversations and just have opportunities to do their job. I think it's very publicized. Everybody knows about the high school and the challenges that we have there. We also have other aging schools that also need some support long-term. And I know that's something that we're working on with facilities committee and just with conversations with Corey and Sean. So, we also have challenges with the vacant lots, properties that we have, and with the city and trying to stay in compliance with ordinances and stuff like that. It kind of creates, we're doing our part to take care of things, but it's also can be very tricky at times. That's something that I think a lot of people don't understand and see that we're responsible for is there's certain ordinances that we have to maintain as well. And I think one of the things that, as a district, I don't feel like at times we tell our story in the right light. I think that's something we can improve on. I really don't believe that several people around the district, because of the lens that they have, because of the building that they may work in, understanding what another building's predicament is, or even people from the public, they don't understand some of the things that we're up against. I would hope that people, before they fire off an email or get on social media, that they would understand that there are not everything's what it appears to be. Sometimes the solution's kind of a little bit trickier than what people think. Take for example, like something simple as spraying for weeds. There's things that our guys have to like comply with in order to do that. We can't just go out and throw Roundup or, weed and feed on the ground like you can at your home. There's things that we have to comply with because of students and just things that the state has asked of us. We can't be out spraying when the wind is over a certain speed as well. And a lot of people don't understand that, whether it's staff or people from the public. And recently, like, staffing's kind of been an issue. It's I don't know what's happened to the workforce, but the workforce is just kind of not there. It used to be we would put positions out for people to apply, and we would get several people interested. And lately, it just hasn't really been there. And I feel I get the budget's issues that we have, but we're also understaffed as a department. It kind of goes back to all the square footage that we take care of our buildings and acreage inside and out. I think our staff does a remarkable job of doing what they absolutely can each and every day to keep those at a very high standard. And then obviously that creates some staff frustration, feeling understaffed and then being asked to do more in an 8-hour day. There's some frustrations that, happen at times. But, our guys, again, our folks just kind of get things done. And then, with me, my duties and time, this has been the most challenging year that I've worked. And I've had a couple of challenging years when I first started here. And a lot of that is to do with just everything that's going on within the district. Not just like some of the things that we've talked about, but there's a lot of other things that we have planned, work that's planned that is set up for the summer. And throughout the school year. And just, it's been rewarding because I've learned so much, but it's also been very challenging because I know that there's only so many hours in the day that you can get things done. So in conclusion, my invitation to you is to, if you would like, come spend a day in our shoes, see the things that some of our folks, the challenges that they're up against, see some of the wins that they're able to create and the problems that they're able to solve. I would also extend that offer to come and tour M&O. I don't know how many of you've ever been to our facility, but we're located the very south end of town. We used to be the old mine that operated here. Kind of got a unique building, no levels the same. It's kind of a maze, but yeah, I mean, I would extend that offer to you all. And again, if you've taken anything away from our conversation today, is that just know and understand how fortunate we are to have all the amazing people that work in our department. Yep. Thank you for your time. And anybody have any questions?
I do. I think you rightly focused on people and what you can do with them. I want to ask a question about how strong the M&O channels of communication are in the budget. You need more than people, you need tools, you need materials, you need to identify the challenges, and then you need a seat at the table in budget conversations. You talked about a journey with people. Mm-hmm. Could you tell the board a little bit about how strong you feel the ability M&O has to communicate your needs, talk to the district, if there's a question of rationing and resources, how you handle that budget preparation part of it?
Yeah, well, thanks for the question. I do feel like I have a seat at the table. I again, kind of going back to the piece in earlier about the support that the cabinet offers along with Corey and Sean. The issue of folks and resources, it's not unique to just our school district. It's something that I know a lot of the other maintenance and operation directors deal with, not just in our region, but across the state. I'm always going to advocate for more people, Martin. I always have. You can ask Kelly. You can ask Sean. You can ask Corey. I mean, I'm always going to advocate for more people because that just gives our folks support, but also allows us to do more things and solve more problems in the district. Yep.
So in the facilities committee meetings, we talk a lot about aging systems that we are kind of bootstrapping to past the point where this is even like a feasible thing, right? Yep. You can't even get the parts on eBay anymore.
Yep.
Is part of the staff frustration you talk about based on like, hey, can't we just update this so we can go down to S&W and actually get a sprinkler head as opposed to having like jury rig it out of parts?
Yeah. Yeah. How did you know that? Like that's an actual problem we have. Yeah, I mean, that's where some of the frustration is, not only, we have a couple systems, we have hydraulic systems and a couple of and they don't really make parts for those anymore. And if I told you the number on what one sprinkler head would be, it would blow your mind. But our guys do a great job of just that, trying to figure out ways to make it work. Those are conversations again that I've had with Corey and Sean, and that's something that we do have a plan for replacement. Like a lot of the things that we have in our district, they're old, and that's part of, again, the plan that we have of road mapping is getting those taken out, regardless of what it is, whether it's, it's a sink that's been there for 50 years or a mechanical unit that our HVAC guys have to spend way too much time on. And again, it kind of goes back to some of the things that us as a whole facilities committee, but also like Sean and Corey and myself, that we have several conversations about and how we're going to get this figured out. I know that you guys are also part of that solution. It's I know that like during certain times of the year, certain buildings offer different challenges, you know, and the high school, we don't have a issue heating the high school. It's just when we enter like the cooling season, and it's because of the age of the equipment that's way beyond its life, you know. But that's where some of those frustrations come in. It's just not, it's not that there's a lack of support by the district. It's just a lack of having the opportunity to replace those because of budget issues.
You're kind of throwing good money after bad, right? When you're at some point, you're like, I need to
Yes.
just replace this whole thing. I can't keep doing this little thing.
Yeah, correct. And those are like conversations that Corey and Sean and I have had.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, instead of just Band-Aids coming up with a solution. Yep. Anybody else?
Awesome. Thanks, Brian.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Gen C, I think you're next, and we can pass the clicker over to you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jen, CSEA, for those who, have never seen my last name, because people are like, well, what's really your last name? But that is it. Director of Transportation, let me get here. And talk about this slide for just a moment before I start. So this is one of our newest buses, type D bus type of buses we purchased right now. A couple cool features on this bus is it has air conditioning. So that has been a huge hit, and really air conditioning came into play after a really brutal summer, like in 22, was it 21 or 22? We had that brutal summer, 117 degrees. We were running summer school. It was, drivers were coming off the bus like really not well. And I thought, if they're not well, the kids certainly aren't well. So it's been our mission to put air conditioning on all of our buses. What we found is that athletics and our field trips really, really also enjoy it, because you think of the athletics and they come off a hot field and they're all worked up, and then they don't have to get on a hot bus. They can get on a nice, cool bus. And a bonus for the driver, they're not quite as stinky because you have that. So that's great. The other thing on this particular bus is, if you look at the school bus sign on the front of it, it's an illuminated sign that we have purchased. We have, I believe, 16 of them, and those are on the front and the back of the sign. And it's different than just the reflective tape. And I had really liked these. I'd seen them at conference for many years. And then I came over a pass one day, and I could see something was coming at me, but I really didn't know what it was until it was right up on me, and it was a school bus. And I thought, wow, I was coming over a Blue Up Pass. And I thought, well, that's kind of dangerous not to know that we have a school bus right there. And we travel all over, right? Tri-Cities constantly. So the mechanics and I decided to purchase these and put them on our buses. And we use them on all the hill routes. So you see them in Sunny Slope, you'll see them in Stemilt Loop. All of our field trip buses have them on it. So when they're going on those long night travels, they're really illuminated. So if you see them around town, you'll definitely notice them if you see them. So let's talk about me, shall we? I have a husband, Tom, and two sons, Jackson and Jacob. Jackson is currently in airborne school right now in Georgia for the U.S. Army. So he will actually do his final jump next week. Pretty excited. Two grandchildren, Ryder and Paisley. My husband and I have a guardianship of them. So we are full-time parents. We shipped one to the Army and we gained two. I don't think the math is right, but it's been a while since I've been out of school. So we're having fun with those guys. I came into transportation in 2012. I was really, really burnt out in my corporate America job. I lived over on the west side at the time, super burnt out. My husband said, go find something that makes you happy. I said, okay, I had a middle school bus driver. I'm going to go and drive school bus. And I think he thought I lost my mind. I've told this to the admin team many times. He's like, you're going to go do what? And I said, yep, I'm going to go drive a school bus. So I left my good paying corporate America job and went and drove a school bus. And it was great. My sons were in ninth grade and second grade at the time. I got to do all kinds of volunteer in their classroom. It was fantastic. But then these two fine ladies made my love of transportation a little bit more greater. So up in the top left corner is Tracy. She is Marysville School District's manager for the transportation department. And down in the right-hand corner is Kim, and she is their director. And they are really good friends to this day. But they took me under their wings and I guess maybe saw something that I didn't. All I really wanted to do was drive a school bus and have summers off and non-student days. There was a lot of potential there for me, a lot of potential. But Tracy said, how about you join our training team and you decide, you help us train drivers. And I was like, okay, how hard can it be? And I did that. And then Kim was like, how about you join our operations team, help out in the office and do some scheduling and field trips? Okay. Well, then I just really, really got a big love for transportation, and that's really how it is. And if you've ever been in my office, you'll see school bus galore, because that's really who I am, is the big yellow bus. Without them, though, I wouldn't be in this position for sure. Started in 2012 in Marysville School District. It is, if you don't know where Marysville is, it's about 30 miles south of Seattle on the I-5 corridor. I spent my spring break near there and a lot of rain. Now I know why I moved to the Valley. It was a rainy spring break. We have a safety rodeo and we have 3 folks from our district actually going to compete this Saturday in Sunnyside for the safety rodeo. And we go and we drive around cones and we back up buses, how you really shouldn't back up buses and all that fun stuff. But I competed in 2013 and 2014 and went to the state level. In 2014, they asked me to become a driver trainer. So I went to the certification course down in Vancouver. I chaired our driver trainer group over on the west side from the 2015 to 2019. And then they have a pupil management training program at CWU. It's a 4-year course. And I did that 2015 through 2019 and got my certification for pupil management. I was asked to become a instructor at the driver trainer program. So for 2 months, nope, I lied. For 2 weeks, every July, I go down to Vancouver and I train school bus drivers how to become driver trainers. So kind of a train the trainer. And then I'm currently co-chairing the state rodeo, and I've done that since 2020. So that's a lot of fun. We hold regional rodeos throughout our state. And then the end of June of each year at our state conference, we have a state rodeo. So how did I come to Wenatchee? Well, you can see the date there. Whoops. March 2nd, 2020. Does that ring a bell to anyone? So I started my job in the transportation department on March 2nd, and we promptly shut the district down on March 17th. So I was getting all kinds of texts from folks on the other side, and they're like, it's coming. We were about 2 weeks behind them. So everything they were going through, we were seeing here. But I came over here. My family always wanted to move to the Valley. We wanted our youngest son to finish high school, but an office coordinator job opened up in this district, and it was kind of going over the office scheduling, the field trips, doing all of the dispatching, that type of stuff. And it was something that was in my skill set at that time. And so we decided to move over a little earlier than anticipated. So that's how I got to the Valley. Would not change it. Like I said, I spent spring break on the west side, and I'm loving this weather a little bit better today for sure. Our fleet. Let's go for our fleet. So we have 4 different style of buses currently. Right now, we have 23 buses of these type 2. Well, let me get on the right line. Sorry. Type D buses. So we have 23 of these. We have 2 on order that will come in September. They're 40-foot buses. They are slated for 56, and I say 56 two to a seat. 84 passenger if you have a bus full of kindergartners, but not gonna happen very, very often. So 56 passengers, two to a seat. They're rear engine, they are diesel. We use them for most of our hill routes, all of our field trips. And like I stated before, we have them, we have air conditioning in them. So these are the buses we're buying. It's interesting. The next style of bus is our Type C bus. It's also a general ed bus, front engine. Doesn't hold as many passengers, so you're going to get 71 of those kindergartners in, 47 if you're two to a seat. But they don't have the undercarriage on them, so it's hard for us to use them for anything other than just routes. And what we're finding in today is that a lot of our buses are needed throughout the day to run. Like right now, we're running a lot of music trips from school to school. So they need those undercarriage for their instruments. And I just talked to a staff member the other day and said, remember, we need undercarriage because last year you took us there, but then you brought one of these Type Cs and we couldn't get our instruments home. So I'm just trying to shy away from this style of bus more so than the other one for that reason. Type C sped buses, same. This is what this district purchased a lot of before I got here. It's a 30-foot, holds about 30 passengers depending on your wheelchair. So you can have 1 or 2 wheelchair stations on here where you will just lose your seating. It's a diesel. The one thing about this particular style of bus is if you ever visit us, the steps are very steep. So we do a lot of obviously special ed transportation on this, and then also our Castle Rock kiddos. And they have a really hard time climbing those steps. So the next style of bus is a Type A. Finally talked the mechanics into purchasing a couple of these. And they are smaller, easier for our special needs kiddos to maybe climb on, and especially our Castle Rock kiddos. We do lose some passenger seating, but the good news is with our 2-tier system, we don't carry or transport as many students all at once, like we did with our 1-tier system. So that's working out really good. These are gas. And you can get them in wheelchair and non-wheelchair. And right now we have 1 wheelchair and we have 2 wheelchair buses and then 1 non-wheelchair bus that will be delivered in September. Our team, so we have 31 contracted driver. We have 3 of those are 3.5 floaters. And so what those folks do is they are part of our floating team where when our contracted drivers take field trips and whatnot, they will backfill into their routes. And that is something we did about 2 years ago and has been very successful in having enough subs to take over our athletic trips. We have 7 substitutes right now. However, your substitutes don't always work every single day. So it's probably more like 3.5 substitutes. We have 2 contracted bus monitors. So those folks are mainly with our Castle Rock routes. And then some we need one-on-one. We have a couple students that need one-on-one. So we'll kind of float them from one route to another and they transfer buses and we use them where we need them. We have 3 mechanics and then an additional fueler position. And then for office staff, we have our dispatcher secretary, our director secretary, our office coordinator, and myself. And I want to hop back for just a minute to our fleet. I neglected to put a slide in for our motor pool, which is really good when we are talking about kind of fabrication and being able to put things together. Our mechanics also take care of a motor pool fleet. We house 6 motor pool that some of our coaches use. Teachers will check it out to take students maybe to a hearing test or that type of stuff. But not only do we have the 6 motor pool in our our department, we take care of all of an M&O's equipment, CTE, transition house, the West Side vehicle, the tech center. So our mechanics are constantly working on those. And much like Brian's team, when they can't find parts, they're really good at fabrication. And I was like, please don't fabricate anymore, because I'm just like, how much time are we taking away from that? But they do a good job in that. Speaking of our team, here is a picture of some of our team. You can see we have drivers up in the left-hand corner. Those guys were studying for their pre-trip. At the time, it was a 45-minute oral pre-trip that you had to take on the bus in order to get your license, along with a backing exercise and a 30-minute road drive. Our cowgirls there, we did a spirit. We have spirit weeks, and so I obviously was cowboy related that day. I think Dwayne and Stephanie standing in the aisle of bus, that was at Tetra Truck last year. And we have mechanic Brandon to the right working in a conventional bus. Down to the left, Jake and Corey are fabricating this bus. This was a head-on collision that we unfortunately got into last spring. Halverson's couldn't get it in right away, and we needed the bus back on the road. So they did some handy work and got that bus back on the road until we could. Then last year we had a baby burst, 4 babies like in 2 months in our department. I was like, don't drink the water. We don't have enough staff. Stop. But some fun. We did a good baby shower for that one. So what do we do on an average day? We transport AM, PM routes, right? That's what we're doing, getting our kiddos to and from school. About 2,400 daily, just under that. We do midday routes, or Castle Rock routes go to and from school. We have modified days. We have multiple students who need modified schedules that we're running one-on-one for. Shuttles throughout the day, like I talked about, and needing that undercarriage space, was the science programs, music programs, and middle school athletics. We run them in between our 2-tier system a lot. Once we drop off all our elementary kids, we do it before we pick up our middle school and high school. We do class field trips, our afters program. Of course, a couple years ago, we took over all athletics. That is doing really well. The drivers enjoy the hours. I'm not sure that the athletes enjoy riding on the yellow school buses as much as the drivers love the hours, but we have that. And then band, choir, dance, and mariachi, we're always running them around. So success during the 23-24 school year last year, we did 343,000 miles to and from school, roughly 13.8 times around the world. Our athletic trips, we did 44,000 miles, and our field trips, we did 27,000 miles. And this was we may have went to the Buzz in the last day of school. So that we just had the prime rib that night. Okay. Summer school programs. We run the afters program, elementary, middle school runs summer school. We do our migrant summer school. SPED usually runs a bus that we run back and forth. And then last year we partnered with the YMCA to run all of their trips. So we run all their YMCA for this side of the river, and then Eastmont helps them out on the other side. So we did 4,800 summer school, and then our field trips, we were at 4,100 last summer. So our staff connections and the growth in our department, we do a monthly staff meeting. It's the second Wednesday of every month. And I bring a guest speaker in. So we've had the ESD gang training come in and talk. We've had Rivercom come in and talk. Our traffic safety unit came in last year. Most recently, we had Brittany Honcho from Migrant come and talk about the newcomers training, because this time of year we see a lot of newcomers and then they don't speak English, and how can we communicate with them? And then we had Migrant come in. Nancy also came in from Migrant and talked about just the migrant, and that was interesting. because I think a lot of us didn't know the difference with the migrants. So I had a lot of great feedback on that particular. I try to partner a lot with our other departments in the district. We do regional and state rodeo. Like I stated, this Saturday we'll be competing in Sunny Slope. And then last year we had 2 folks go to state rodeo from our ESD. We have 3 certified driver trainers. So myself and 2 others in our department are able to sign off and train our new bus drivers. CWU, I've went through that program, and we currently have 2 staff members that are going through that program. And then we participate in WAPT each June, and that's our statewide conference. So transportation enthusiasts. So I didn't know that folks love school buses so much, but they really truly do. And these 3 really embody school buses. So Bowen, he is there, the picture top left. He loves everything to do with buses, and you can ask him a serial number of a bus and he will tell you what district it belongs to and what engine type it has in it. In fact, WSP lost a bus one time, and they called Bowen and said, can you tell me where this bus is? And they literally, he could find it by the serial number. So there you have it. But he is an ENIAC graduate. He called and was interested in interning back in the fall of 2022 for us. And so he came in and interned and did some stuff. And then we were able to hire him on as a fueler and a shop helper. And once he was old enough to actually drive students in a school bus, he was authorized by OSPI. We trained him, and he was authorized in 2023. So he is currently one of our 3.5 floater positions, and then he is our fueler as well. Zach Beasley came into our department 2 years ago, and he works with Elmview. And he is a graduate of Eastmont's transition program. And he comes in with a job coach and sanitizes the interior of our spare buses and our trip buses. So he loves yellow buses. He is nonverbal, but he really loves Bowen, and he will say Bowen. So those 2 get along really, really well. But during the winter months, he does us, and then in the summer months, and he'll be transitioning the 1st of May over to Rose Tractor, where he washes the tractors for them. So we have him for half of our school year, and staff really love him. Someone new I met this year was bus driver Noah. He reached out to me, and he loves to take pictures of school buses. So he's from the Tri-Cities area, but he drove up here with his mom and his brother and took pictures of our fleet, and he has a website and really loves it. So we really support our transportation enthusiasts for sure. So our community connections. We try really hard to get out in the community for different events. It's something that's really special to my heart as a driver trainer. I did a lot of in my last district. We adopt a family for Thanksgiving, and typically we do that for our MKV families, as well as we will adopt a family or a couple students at Christmas time through MKV. We participate in Tetra Truck that's coming up next month at the college. We love to get involved in kindergarten fairs when we can. We're going to do the Apple Blossom Kitty Parade this Saturday. Back to school events. We purchased our mascot a couple years ago. His name is Busby, and everyone loves Busby, including myself. So he gets out there where he can. We do adopt a road. So our stretcher road is up the Squilchuck, going up to Wenatchee Heights. So we walk from Squilchuck all the way up Wenatchee Heights and come down Wheeler Road. And we do that in June of every year. And then we try to make it to local job fairs. And most recently, we've done a Drive the Bus event where we've invited the community to come in and try to, or not try to, but to drive a school bus and see how that feels and if it's something that they would like to do. Celebrations, I'm going to echo what Brian said. It's really the culture within the department is my big celebration. I think those who have been here for a while know no one kind of wanted to go to transportation, just leave transportation by themselves. And that's why I really try to do for our staff meetings, bring the guest speakers from other departments in and let them know we're not so bad. And they'll come out of transportation alive. Building relationships with the drivers and staff throughout the district. That's another big thing. I think that there was some division there. And so it is important for me to have that, that bridge. And then really surviving the COVID years. We've never had to cancel a route or double run a route. And that is huge when you talk to other districts and in the area or in the state, there's a lot of them that have had to do that. So certainly a celebration.
Jen, can you,
Sorry.
what's a double run? Just
Double
for
run.
me.
Sorry,
Thank-
there's my celebration screen. I didn't fast forward. So double run would be, we would drop off a Lincoln route and then go back and pick up another Lincoln route and take them home. Yeah. And then this is Newberry drivers. Last year for Bus Driver Appreciation Day. So goals would be continue to align our fleet to have all buses on state depreciation. Currently, we have 14 buses out of 38 that are still off depreciation. So still working really hard to get that up to snuff. Our oldest bus currently is a 2007 conventional bus. And also to continue to work on retention plan to retain drivers to stay with the department and the district. And limiting the constant need to train. And this is not a problem in just our district, but it's a challenge that you are constantly just training. And unfortunately, it costs about $7,000 to train a bus driver. So we're putting a lot of money in and churning that money. So we'd like to see that. So invitation to our board, much like Brian, come and ride a route with us this spring if you have some time. Our routes run from 6:30 in the morning to 9 a.m. and then 2 to 5. And on our next Drive the Bus event, which we'll probably have in the fall, stop by and see if you can drive a bus too, much like Corey in the left there and Kelly in the middle and Katie at the top. They all stopped by and have driven buses. So. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. There you go. There they are. Okay. So that is it for me. Do you have any questions?
All right, fine. EV buses, is that even a thing? Is that part of the conversation? I realize that there's maintenance, there's fueling, there's additional costs in terms of like bus versus diesel. Is that just part of, is there a roadmap at all?
So I'll tell you within our industry, and I know there's some districts who have really had great luck with it. But within our industry collectively, it's not something that folks are diving into. And there's a lot of different reasons. I did watch your board meeting a couple months ago, right? Thank you. And so I've started the conversation. I've worked with the PUD and Brian's contacts there to kind of do a feasibility study of our building. There's just a lot of hurdles. And I asked PUD, I said, how can Link get so many miles out of their buses? And what's happening is Link is purchasing BYD buses. And those buses are built from the ground up electric. School buses, they're having to retrofit them. And so they're not as great as the BYD buses. Not saying it's not going to get there, There was a lot of federal funding up until recently that I don't know if will still be there, could be, could not be, just kind of what's happening with our administration. Bowen and I actually went to a seminar about a month ago about EV, just to start the conversation, put our name in the bucket to see if we can get some more information on it. So it's something we're looking into. I'll be honest, it's not something that our technicians love the idea of. It's not something that's, I'm totally sold on yet, but I am doing my due diligence and looking into it to see what are our options. Yeah, sorry.
No, that's good. I just want to thank you for taking the initiative to go and discover what was happening. As you smilingly said, a couple of us have been asking about this in places, school districts have got tons of money and
Yes.
I appreciate everything that you did, but most of all, that you took the initiative to go and discover what the alternatives are. And then I want to make a comment and I'm going to play a tribute to Brian, and I think I'll hear the same thing from Stephanie. When I first ran as a candidate 6 years ago, I was kind of surprised canvassing at how many people were not happy, mostly about bus driving. And you talked about how you worked so hard on your attitudes and your culture and your people. And I do believe, honestly, that you've achieved a lot. Probably all three of you. I haven't heard the third of you yet. But I do want to make the comment, because 6 years ago, if you walked up to a door and you said you were a school board candidate, you sometimes got an earful. And I think there's a much healthier culture that you guys have been working on.
Thank you.
Real quick, I think that culture is reflected in your bus drivers and how they're treating their students as well. My kids don't really ride the bus, but they know their bus driver. The bus driver knows them by name, has known them forever, and they just adore him. And so it's great when the first person you see in the morning sometimes and the last person you see in the afternoon is so welcoming and inviting. He's also done a lot of the athletic trips and will sit on the sidelines with the kids, so super engaged with the kids. And it's just so amazing to see that from somebody who could go hide in the bus or, not care as much and just doing this for their job. It's clear that there's a good culture going on there that really cares about their students. And so I appreciate that.
And I will say that's something different this year that's been happening is the drivers have been engaged in athletics. And I know they will even travel to other cities, whether it's, maybe Tri-Cities to watch a sporting event just because the kids are used to seeing them there. So that is something. And just for Brian and Steph and I, we bounce a lot of things off each other. Sometimes we feel like we're the only one. Steph and I share a building. But sometimes I just need to call Brian and say, hey, what's up? Talk me off a ledge type thing. And he's able to do that. So I think we have a good working relationship between the three of us as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to, we're at 2:20 and sometimes we wrap up at 2:30 at this point, but we had a little bit of a late start. So I just want to invite our board members, if you need to leave, please feel free to leave at 2:30. And we want to continue, Stephanie, with your presentation, recorded if at all possible as we finish that. And then anyone who had to leave can catch up a little bit later. So I don't want to cut you off at 2:30. We'll just, if we can stay, we'll stay. And if not, then people will, we'll dip out quietly if we can. So Stephanie, we'll let you get going. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. I'm Stephanie Cranbuell. This is my first year as the Director for Nutrition Services. That being said, that does not mean that I have not had a lot of experience, especially here in the Wenatchee School District in nutrition, starting as a sub at 2 hours washing dishes. So just a little bit about me and what we do. This picture here, our staff are always getting involved with everything. They are very big at making sure they dress up for the dress up days. And they're really trying to put out things that they're engaging the children and trying to put out things that the kids will want to eat. Down, yes. Down. Sorry. That work? Oh, nope, I'm too far now. Okay, so just a little bit about me. my husband Andy and I have total of 3 kids. Our oldest daughter Haley is in med school in Henderson, Nevada. My son is a junior this year at the high school, and my daughter is 8th grade at Pioneer. We moved here in 2016. My daughter was just starting kindergarten. That was a rough go. And my son was just starting 3rd grade. Both went to Mission View. It's been really interesting because they rode the buses, you know, so they've been in the buildings, eating the meals, lunches. So they've kind of been a part of the building. They actually give me some really good feedback that they hear from their friends. It's actually kind of nice. I went to school in Yakima. I graduated Eisenhower in Yakima, went to YVC, and actually started nutrition in assisted living facilities, which is a lot different than schools, but you still get the feedback and you're still kind of dealing with special diets, and you have to stay within guidelines. So they kind of are a little alike. So basically my initial experience, like I said, was in an assisted living facility that I ran over in Tacoma, 110 bed facility. I took care of the overseeing operations of their nutrition services program, special diets, menuing, you pretty much name it. That's what I was doing. I have also opened an assisted living facility that was in Yakima from the ground up. So I did all the standard operating procedures, the menuing, the recipes, I did everything basically. And a lot for me is like, same with Brian, is I always work hard and have made my way through. Like I may start here and I made my way through to management in most of my jobs, just by hard work, learning what's around me, watching other people work, seeing how they're doing what they're doing, seeing what's working, what's not working, what I may want to see different, and just kind of going from there. That's kind of how I've always worked. I transitioned into school when we moved here, school nutrition when I moved here. Like I said, I took my first job here as a 2-hour sub at Pioneer, washing dishes. I really liked it, actually. It's very calming. And then literally from there, the director at the time had seen something in me, knowing my background, and I was pulled from my little 2-hour position multiple times to sub and management roles at all the schools. So if there was a manager out, I was a person called. No matter what my job was the day, I was always put into those roles. Got a call one day and he's like, I need you at Sunny Slope for 6 hours a day for I don't know how long. I'm like, okay, I'll figure it out. And a lot of the times I was thrown in. I learned by fire. I was thrown in and I figured it out. A lot of the schools are small. They don't have a lot of people there that can train you once you get there, especially as a manager. So that's something that I just, by listening, going to the meetings, taking classes and trainings, I figured that out, and the school side of things, like what is required. I then went from Sunny Slope. I was at Orchard for a little while as the manager, at Pioneer for the manager. I was at Foothills during COVID. One thing I can tell you about our team is that we switched gears at a moment's notice and we're serving lunches on the curb the next day, which was pretty impressive because they just serving meals in the cafeteria to handing bags, and they just did it. We have a really great crew. They get it done no matter what they're faced with, and I appreciate that actually. And then I went to the high school, managed there for a little while, and then I stepped into the coordinator position last year and part of the year previous that. So that means I was doing menu planning, recipes, kind of just like the right-hand man to the director at that point. Now as the director this year, we've had a lot of changes in our department, a little bit of accountability, trying to get everyone into this culture thing that we're trying to change the culture for nutrition services and how people think about it and how it's how the kids are participating, and just trying to change the staff's mindset around it also. It's a big part of what I'm doing this year. Well, I'm trying to. It's been a big, long battle because there's always something. But this is a big part of it. It's just changing the culture in nutrition services. We are a great team, but there's always room for improvement, I think, in anywhere you're at. So then basically, I just have taken lots of classes lately, especially about the ever-changing federal guidelines around child nutrition and what is expected of our program. And it's quite a bit, actually. Let me go into who we are. As you see from our pictures, we're a fun group. We like to have fun. We engage with the children. We like to get them involved in helping us out when we can. Dress up on the dress up days. The one on the bottom here, she does a number 10 can contest at Christmas, and they give away bikes to the children. Just kind of engaging them, getting them excited about this. The one in the middle with the Wonder Woman, she was doing the read-in week, got right involved with the kids. My staff really cares about what they do. They really care about the students. And honestly, a lot of schools will tell you that if a student is struggling, they usually will go to nutrition staff. And I think it's just because we aren't teaching them things. We're not trying to make them do classwork. We are here to feed them, and they find that comforting. Okay, so far as staff, we have me, then there's one director secretary in my office. I have 11 managers, one at each school. 33 associates, nutrition associates, who are basically doing the cooking, the dishes, helping maintain salad bars, keeping things clean. I have one driver who also pulls the commodities. Commodities are USDA food that we have stored up at the mine. He pulls that food so it can be delivered out for each of the schools. And for the first year since before COVID, we have 4 subs. That being said, my 4 subs work every day. And I have not had a day this year that I've had all my staff there. So to say that we're regularly running a little short would be an understatement. And one of the things with our staff is they just step up. They can get it done. And they're doing great. All right, so a little bit about what we do. We make food. We make lots of food. We serve, let's just say, breakfasts on a daily. We serve between 1,500 and 2,000 breakfasts every day. And we serve between 3,000, 3,500 lunches daily. All within the guidelines of the USDA, which are every year being more restrictive, which is becoming a barrier for feeding children because kids don't usually eat whole wheat products at home. They aren't eating things that have limited salts. So these are things that we deal with on a daily. So within best we can, we feed them the most nutritious food we're capable of feeding them. Daily, we serve breakfast. We also serve breakfast after the bell at all our schools, meaning that kids who come in late or kids who may have missed breakfast have that opportunity to get that first nutritious meal of the day to get them going. Lunch, and then we also do after school program at several of our schools. So we feed them all an after school meal also. Daily, they're ensuring the food safety, making sure that everything is safe for the kids to eat. Things are coming in, they're safe. We also support our students' health and academic success by providing these nutritious meals because kids who come in hungry they're not learning. They're not learning as well. They can't concentrate. They need those meals to concentrate. And some of our children really struggle with food insecurities and not having those foods at home. So we may be their only 1, 2, or 3 meals that they get in a day. And so being there to support them in that is something big that we do. We also encourage their participation. I have a school who goes out and she's like, oh, you only brought chips today for lunch. How about you come and grab a meal? Because being CEP, community eligibility provision, all our students are free for meals. And so encourage them if they don't have meals that are suitable to come and eat our meal is something that we're working on doing with our staff also. We also manage budgets and we also have to meet all the regulations. So benefits to access to school meals, there's health benefits, of course. It allows students to not have as much food insecurity, especially when they're getting those meals at school and they can actually rely on those meals. It's improving their nutritional intake. Like I said, our meals are pretty restricted in what we can and can't serve. Grains, sodium, sugars, and all of those are reducing even more and more. So when they come in to get a meal, you know, they're not just getting a bag of Takis in their lunchbox. They've got something that's going to be more nutritional for them. It also helps promote overall just well-being of these students. We find that they're better engaged in classrooms. They're usually less behaviors for some of the students when they're not hungry. For the learning side of things, it's improving their brain function. To have nutrition is super important to improve your brain function, concentration. It helps increase their energy levels. They have that ability to, some of them even just stay awake in class once they've had something nutritious to feed them. It reduces their behavioral problems, like I said, to have access to meals. And then better academic performance has been shown with with students who are able to get these meals at school. As far as attendance, especially kids who have food insecurities, having nutrition in the school helps with attendance because kids come to school for that nutrition. It helps families who may be struggling financially, provides a little bit of relief when their kids come to school and are able to eat. It reduces the risk of illness, and many students are less likely to be absent due to health issues when they've actually got the proper nutrition that they need for their bodies to grow. So just a little recap, we almost served 1 million meals last year for breakfast and lunch, which is a huge accomplishment. That's a lot of meals going out. So we served, and then summer school, we served 25,000 summer school meals, or that's after school. Small Miracles is we actually make bags for the parks over the summer for Small Miracles. And we did 6,000 of those, and they go out to the various parks that are handed out. And then summer meals just for summer school, we did 858 and then 1,700 lunches. So we're serving a lot of meals every year. So some of the current goals for me this year and just moving forward is I want to enhance the quality of the meals. I would like to see more scratch homemade cooking, which is something I'm trying to bring more into the schools. I'll go into that a little bit later with struggles, but that's difficult in some of our kitchens because we don't have the equipment or the place to do some of this, and especially our smaller elementaries. I would like to see food waste reduced tremendously. As you know, kids they made to take a fruit or veggie. They don't want a fruit or veggie. Those go in the trash. I'd like to see ways of getting them to actually eat the fruit or veggie they do take so that we're reducing some of that food waste. Supporting dietary restrictions. We have a lot of students in our district who have dietary restrictions, and we try to support that the best we can. And I'd like to continue to do that, but kind of do that better at each school individually, because all the kids are different at the schools who have these dietary restrictions, and I'd like to be able to support them better in each school. I would like to increase participation. I would like to see over 1 million meals served. That's definitely a goal. I'd like to have all these kids eating, because if they're not eating here, then where are they eating? Increased training and support for the staff. I feel like that's going to help the staff better understand the meal patterns, the nutrition that they need to provide for each of our students. And it also lets them feel like they're empowered when they've got that knowledge behind them. Staff retention. by making connections, I really try to, I'm the first person that if they call me and they're like, hey, I'm like, what do you need and how can I help you? Like, where can I be at for you? And that is something I'm very big at. Like, I lead by example. I would never ask anyone ever to do something I'm not willing to do myself. So if I've asked them to do it, I've done it. I'm willing to do it. I'll do it again. And that's super important to me because I want them to understand that I'm here supporting them. I've done all these positions. I've even drove the truck and delivered commodities. I pulled commodities by headlamp when we had the lights out for a long time. You were helping us, Corey, weren't you? Yeah, we pulled commodities. So I've done it. So I understand the struggles they're up against. And I want them to understand that I'm the first person that's going to jump in and help them out. I opened up a school this morning. I was at Mission View this morning because we were short-staffed. And then I went over to Pioneer. So I've been at several schools already just today because we were short today. I want to be completely ready for all administrative reviews. I am a person who likes to be prepared. We will be reviewed regularly. I like to have a book when they walk in and be like, here's all you're going to need. Here we go. And then that just takes less time of theirs. And it also provides us less time having to rush at the end to figure it all out because it takes a lot of time to put all the information together. I'm also working on using technology for efficiency with my menus and my recipes and other forms. I've put all our recipes on the drive for all of our staff. They have access to that instead of before they're like, does somebody have? And like no one had. So all that's now on the drive. I'd like to get our menus put into a program where they can just automatically have a link and they automatically translate. Those are things I'm working on for the summer. So those are definitely goals for me. Oh, some barriers. Here's us riding the struggle bus. That was Lorena, my secretary, and I. We rode the struggle bus and boy, do we. One of a big thing we have problems with is staffing, call-ins, like I've mentioned multiple times. I had 6 out today. That was just starting out this morning. And I knew yesterday when I had 2 calls that it was going to be a day today. So just getting that coverage for the staff and making sure they're supported still while we are short is something that I'm really, I'm working on. It's definitely a challenge. One of the other challenges we have is the ever increasing costs of food and labor, where reimbursement isn't necessarily going up. So you've got all these other things going up and we're not getting much more back. So that's something that is definitely a barrier for us. Procurement, finding places to get some of the products that we need is not always easy. They're outed. We can't get this, we can't get that. So one of the things is just finding ways to procure some of the items that the students do want and do like to eat. When I tell you the ever-changing regulations and restrictions, I'm gonna just, I can't. Can you click on that link on regulations for me, please? I want to just show you kind of like what we have to go off of on a daily. Hopefully it'll show up. So this is kind of like the regulations we have to work off on a daily. How much they have to have per week, what it needs to look like, our sodium restrictions per meal, the minimum calories, saturated fats. This is what we're working with when we menu plan on a monthly basis. And everything has to fall within these guidelines. And so what I say, it's getting more difficult as they decrease some of these levels. It's harder to fall within that and get the kids to still eat the foods is what I am finding. It's a challenge. They're not used to that. Okay. We're dealing with a lot of small, very outdated kitchens. All our elementary schools were made to just serve out of. They were not made to cook really out of, and they're very outdated. And so with us not just serving, we're now cooking in these kitchens. Our staff do a wonderful job with the limited space they have, but oh boy, if they had more room, what they really could do. Limited storage. They've got a double door freezer for a week's worth of food for 300 kids at lunch and another 150 at breakfast. That's not enough room. We have very old and aging equipment. Brian, your guys know this. They're constantly fixing things that are breaking. So that's definitely a large barrier that our equipment is old, it's breaking, it's wearing out, it's to a point where we have to replace. I also would like, one of the barriers is the narrative around school meals. People will think, well, if they're gross, no one likes that. I don't think people understand in the community that we're serving meals within guidelines, like I showed you. And we're doing the best we can with what we're given and the guidelines that we have put forth. And then also just day-to-day oversight. It's a barrier for me because I'm not in the office all the time. I'm one person. So when I have 3 managers out in the morning first thing, I don't have anyone that can sub into that position. Here comes me and now my secretary, and we're out there battling, getting things going until we can figure out what to do. So definitely those are barriers. A little bit of celebration though. Our team always pulls together. They will make it work. Whether we're sending out emails to admin and being like, hey, can you help us serve pizza today at lunch at the high school? Or, you know, we've got a student in helping us or whatever. We are always making it work. They figure it out every day to get these kids fed, short staffed or not, we figure it out. And that is one thing that I can say, that we can't just not feed the children if we don't have the staff. We just have to figure it out, and they're great at it. My staff excels at this. One of the other things we've done this year is we've switched from disposable trays to washable trays at the high school, reducing waste and cost, especially as compostable trays are now what you need to use, and the cost is way more expensive than what we were getting before. So this is helping a lot. Another celebration is our farm to school grant, which has allowed us to have a lot of local produce from local farms. And then also we were able to get some beef from Raised Meats in Yakima, and we're serving a lot of that, like in our birria tacos, our beef stews, especially at our secondaries. Our elementaries don't have the capability to cook some of that raw meat, but our secondaries definitely do, and they're doing a great job with it. Another celebration is coming up May 2nd. We're not here. We're off May 2nd, but May 1st we'll be celebrating. Yeah, May 1st we'll be celebrating Lunch Hero Day with our staff. So that's a huge thing, because they really are heroes. They are doing everything they can to make sure that our kids have what they need on a daily. One of my quotes this year that I ran across that I really, really like is 10 years from now, your students may not remember your meal, but they'll always remember the way you made them feel. So make every interaction count. This is huge for me. I tell my staff this all the time, that you need to interact with these students, get to know these students, figure out what they like, because as you do that, they're coming in for meals. They're going to eat. They want to be there. And it's super important for me to let the staff know that your interactions with them count. All right, little invitation, just like Brian and Jen, except for I'll be a little more specific just because our lunch times are all over the board. But if you would like, come serve 600 meals with us in about 20 minutes at the high school. Got some great things going on. April 30th, we're doing some made from scratch birria tacos. They're super good. That's made with the local raised meats. We've got May 8th, we're doing homemade pozole, and that's made with LFS pork. And then May 15th, we're doing homemade beef stew, which is also served with the raised beef. So we'd like for you to come and experience everything that we're doing. Stop by, even if it's not at a lunchtime, to see what they're doing. They're running around, but stop by and see what they're doing in the kitchens. Introduce yourself, let them know who you are. They're great. They're really putting it all out there on a daily and serving these kids good nutrition food. Do we have questions?
I don't have a question, but that slide with the comment,
Yeah.
just totally perfect timing. I just mentioned to my kids this weekend that I don't remember probably hardly any of my teachers' names from elementary school, but I remember our custodian, Dwayne, who dumped our lunch trays every day for us and would grade us on how much we ate. And I literally mentioned that experience to them just this weekend. It was like, that of all things.
Yeah,
stood
it's
out.
totally
So,
in their interactions with
yeah.
these students. And that's why the interactions, that's why I love students come to the cafeteria before school early, and they talk to the ladies and the guys. They're there with them, and they kind of help them out. A few of our schools actually will call the nutrition staff to help calm a few down, just because it's just a different interaction.
It's all about relationships.
It really is.
Everything that we
Truly
do,
it
and
is.
each of you as leaders today has shared a little bit about how the relationships matter, and relationships are the glue that really keeps everything holding together.
They really are.
Go ahead, Martin.
I'm going to make a comment for you, Stephanie. I think your department is unique in that you don't control where you get your food from or who writes the regulations. And then on the other end, you deal with students and how you control their behavior. So I think in a sense, I've been a tiny bit of a customer as a lunch buddy eating in elementary or observing after school meals. And I just want to pay a compliment to how the staff handled a little bit of unruliness and attitude and food waste. And on food waste at the high school pilot project, I was really impressed. People said that the staff in nutrition really came on site and were very, very supportive. And I just want to make that compliment. So I think you have an extreme situation of not being in control of what you have to manage. You and your staff do a great job. Thank you.
And I think that's what the community does not understand, that this is not in our control. We're doing the best with what we're given.
Excellent. Well, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Different backgrounds, different stories, different leadership styles, but you are all creating culture within your respective departments, and you're shaping and transforming change. So we appreciate that. Thank you so much. I guess as closing, I mentioned a few of these things that you all bring to the table. It's high expectations for yourselves, strong work ethic. You all illustrated how you're empowering people and you're advocating for people as well. And I love the let's figure it out attitude, and that emulates and is very visible in your department. So thank you so much. Proud of each of you. And I'm so grateful for your commitment to the Wenatchee School District. So thank you both. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate you coming in. All right, meeting adjourned.